Welcome to the Pop-Off with Gene FitzMagic and friends. Your daily sports and entertainment radio show, live all over the world. You're going to want to hear what these guys have to say. With their hot takes, recaps, previews, and predictions, sometimes these guys might get along, but most times, they won't. So see what happens when these guys pop off about the world of sports and entertainment.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is Cinco de Mayo, Friday, May 5th, and we're here for a getaway day pop-off. Hey, Matt, do they celebrate Cinco de Mayo up there in Canada?
Wait, yeah, it involves alcohol. Of course we do.
Awesome. I know they do in Miami, Joey.
Oh, yeah, it's fun. That's like a
so
thing here.
It's like a national holiday in Miami.
Yeah.
So we were a lot of basketball to talk about, some football stuff. We got some hockey. We're gonna let Matt talk some hockey today. So we're gonna have some fun today on a Cinco de Mayo getaway day, as we call it. So how you guys been, man? Matt's been a couple days. Joey, it's been about a week. How you doing, my guys?
Well, as you know, the Leafs lost again last night at home, 2 in a row. So not great. I don't want to be the sky's falling fan, and I happened
to the Devils, and what did they do?
Yeah, that's right. And also, this happened to the Leafs in 2004, and they lost the first 2 at home, and then went to Philly and won the next 2. Shout out Matt Sundin. So we're not done. We're not done. We've had so many good scoring chances. We hit so many. I think we hit 4 or 5 posts last night. Quarters said, "Oh, there he is,
Dom.
Hey.
There he is." Anyway,
always late, but never not loved. Dominic Lewis is with us. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
We're doing good. We're actually listening to Matt cry about his Toronto.
Yeah, you interrupted my Maple Leafs rant, Dom.
So there we go.
I'm done, anyways. No, we're staying positive. We're staying positive.
I've been following you on Instagram, following the roller coaster of the Maple Leafs.
You see the mental breakdown.
I've seen it all.
Somebody told me, they go, my favorite thing is watching you react after a Maple Leafs loss in the playoffs.
You get very I sometimes I'm like, should I give him a call, see if he's gonna be okay tonight?
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a little bit of mixture of Xanax and bad wine and slip off the darkness. It's been that bad of a post. So
that sounds great.
Yeah, that's actually sign me up.
That sounds like a great evening.
It could be. It would be better if you get the Toronto Maple Leaf win. Then maybe it would be a little bit better. Then it'd be worse.
Next one, it's coming, baby.
Are we excited to see this big new Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Anyone excited to see that this weekend? Dom, no. Matt, no. If Matt was out in Carolina, he'd have to go see it, but he's not there visiting family this weekend. So guys, you know what? I'm going to spoil the whole movie for you guys right now. I'm going to tell you exactly who lives and dies, and I'm going to tell you how it ends right now. I saw it last night. Let me tell you something. If you're a Marvel fan at all, this is the best Marvel movie they've done in years. It's the best one they've done in years. So,
yeah, but that's not.
That's not saying much. Well, no,
but the Guardians series is usually pretty good.
Guardians has always been pretty good.
So.
Yeah,
second one was good. The first one was really good. Second one was good. James Gunn usually makes pretty fun stuff. I really liked his Suicide Squad movie. I thought he's going to do a lot of fun
things over at DC. I think DC is going to. Marvel needs to worry about DC because Gunn knows what he's doing with these comic book movies. So
yeah,
if he has even just remotely decent success over at DCU, MCU better watch out.
He does, but they got a lot of catching up to do.
But you know what? It was kind of a beneficial to DCU because they could start fresh. Like, let's face it, MCU is a little it's already we've already kind of getting a little MCU fatigue. Now DC comes up, it's gonna be something new and fresh with a lot of still big characters. MCU lost a lot of big characters, and they're trying to invent these. They're trying to not invent, but they're trying to bring you these new ones. DCU still has to hit you with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They're gonna hit you with all those all over again in this new universe model. So they kind of got a little bit of a head start in that sense because now they get to go with these guys here. Yeah. So, but you know what? I digress. Go ahead.
Apparently, the new Flash movie is supposed to be really good.
That does look pretty good. I don't think Gunn had anything to do with it, though, right? Gunn didn't have anything to do with that one, I don't believe.
No, but that's the word. I've heard some people talk about it, and Ben Affleck was talking about it on a podcast, and he was just like, it's really, really, really good.
That's
the
good.
trailer makes it look like it's really, the trailer looks really good. And it looks like they kind of dip their toe into a multi-universal kind of thing like they did at Marvel, and it kind of opens that door, which we knew it was going to happen anyway because they all do it. But so it should be pretty good.
So done with these superhero movies. I was done at Iron Man 3. It just like fuck off with the superhero shit.
What about
so
hey, Dom, what about the Batman? Did you watch the Batman?
I did like that because it's Peter Craig and he's awesome. I think he's.
It didn't feel like a superhero movie.
No, and that's a good
point.
Yeah.
I'm working with Peter right now, and he's on a different level to everybody else. He's very highbrow, like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. But I've always been a Batman. I have no problem with Batman movies.
Yeah.
Give me as many Batmans as you want.
Well, I have some problems with like the George Clooney and Val Kilmer ones.
Oh my God, those were horrible.
I don't care. Like Batman and Superman, I've been in since I was 5 years old. I'll watch that all day, every day.
Yep.
But all these other universes and green people and trees, like fuck off. Like just.
All right, he doesn't like the green people. There we go. All right. Well,
I'll get canceled now by the green
by the green people. Let's get into some sports talk, guys. Let's pull up the first one. Philly and Boston. Actually, you know what? Do we need to talk about some more hockey? Do we want to talk about where it looks like who's left, Matt? Like, where does it look like this thing is going to go? Actually, let's finish some hockey talk first.
Okay.
Let's talk some hockey.
We'll get this out of the way.
Yeah.
I want to say Toronto, but we're in trouble. I mean, Florida looks like they're just kind of scraping and crawling and getting. They're playing kind of gritty. They had a couple dirty plays last night. One of our rookie kid is injured after he got his head slammed into the ice. So
probably deserved it.
Yeah. so that sucks. But Florida's goalie, who they signed him 4 or 5 years ago for $10 million a year, and he almost single-handedly ruined the goalie market in the sense that he has been brutal for like 4 years.
Yeah.
And so no one wants to pay goalies anymore. And so no one's going to get no goalie's going to get a $10 million a year contract moving forward. But having said that, he came in last series at like game 4 or 5 because he's been a backup basically for 2 years. And he looks like the goalie of 5 years ago who won the Vezina Trophy. He made so many good saves last night. God damn him. But I kind of like the Devils, even though they kind of got smoked by Carolina. Carolina's missing 3 of their top scorers that won't be back for the playoffs at all. But they looked really good. Edmonton, although they lost, I got to think McDavid is going to kind of go nuts here.
Well, he's the best guy in the league right now, right? McDavid.
It's not even like,
him and Austin Matthews. Would you say Austin Matthews is probably like in the top 3 though?
Yeah. I mean, Draisaitl had 125 points.
Draisaitl.
Matthews is a good, Matthews. I know you hate Draisaitl. Matthews is
the name to me is why I laughed because Draisaitl is a great name. Might be the best name in sports.
But so what it is like Connor McDavid is here. Where's my camera? Here. And then down here is where like Matthews and Draisaitl and Marner and all these other Kucherov, all these other like great players. So they're battling for like who's 2. Like 1 is done. It's McDavid.
Yeah. He's this generation's Gretzky and Lemieux and all those guys.
Yeah. He just needs to win something. And then the other one, Dallas and Seattle. Seattle's a fun story. I think Dallas is going to win that series. But yeah, I mean, this is like.
Are the Devils someone to fear? To the Devils? I
like the Devils a lot.
They're a young, plucky team.
They got a good goalie. They're young. They're fast. We're in like coin flip territory in like every series.
I think Boston being taken out so early really kind of set the league on its head. So,
I mean that's hockey. That's what happens in hockey, where you have this goalie who had an incredible, insane season, where he's going to win the best goalie in. Is that
the Vezina? The Vezina Trophy?
Vezina, yeah. Levine, the Vezina, and it's not going to be close. Like he's going to win in a landslide, and then he got pulled for Game 7 because Game 5 and 6 he got lit up. So goalie has a bad couple games. It's like that can change a series. Let's in a bad goal
from New Jersey. Schmidt came out of nowhere and had this remarkable series against the Rangers, and he single-handedly won the game. And on the opposite note, usually when it's the hot goalie, you figure the hot goalie can win a series. But I would say for the Rangers, I saw a lot of that series. I would say the best player on the ice was their goalie. He unfortunately got zero help, and it led to a bunch of losses. 2-1s, the 4-0. I don't even blame him for the 4-0. They did nothing those games. He might have been the best player on the ice for the Rangers, and they were just that inept, which is crazy when you look at the names on that roster. I'm not a huge hockey guy, but I can look at their roster and pick off half the names on that team of people that I know.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm from New York, but just because I follow just enough hockey to know those guys are big names.
Yeah.
And made some big trades down the stretch to bring those guys in, and all for a first round exit. It's nuts.
Yeah. They just didn't look good. Like Shesterkin was awesome. That's the goalie. He was really good. He kind of kept them in it. But yeah, the big names, they just kind of looked disengaged. The coach basically said that the team was soft, and they weren't like
they were
grinding in the corner.
The power play was horrendous. The power play was garbage. So so there's our hockey minute. There we go. We got some hockey out of the way. There we go. But you know what? For all the Canadian viewers, which you know what, half the cast is Canadian for the half. It seems like most of the time. So we gotta give it to some hockey stuff. As we get closer to the finals, we'll talk a little bit more about it. It's gonna be typically on Wednesdays and Fridays when Matt's on, because Matt's the hockey guy. But let's talk about that Philly Boston game a couple nights ago. Boston evening the series 121-87. There we go. There's the box score. Tatum again has just disappeared. 7 points, 1 of 7 shooting. I think he knew early on that wasn't his night. Can they win this series, Joey, without Tatum really playing a key integral part?
Well, I mean, if you play like that, you're putting up that kind of points, especially when he's not really contributing. You kind of think at some point he's got to break out of that. You know what I'm saying? Because he's such a good player. You're expecting him to have a decent night, and for them to be able to pick it up even when he's not doing that. So that kind of tells you they can do it when he's not at his best, which is usually when the teams can get really good. The question is going to be, can you sustain that if this gets prolonged, as far as, some of these guys sometimes come right out of it. Some guys, they just can't seem to get out of it until the next series. You just don't even know. So let's hope they get out of the series. But yeah, of course they can win it. Absolutely.
Dominic, are you out of your mourning of the Clippers yet? Are you back?
I was never in mourning. I was realistic.
You understood it?
When they won game 1, and you text me, and I was like,
I'll give him that. I texted him 1-1. I was like, yo, huge win. He's like, we'll see. I'm like, Eeyore over here. All right, so let's talk about this series. Boston crushes Philadelphia at home, but with little help from Tatum. Brogdon had a good game, 23 points. Shows why he's the 6th man of the year. He's been pretty good all playoff run. Brown with 25. But what's your take on it, Ken? I mean, Embiid, and that's the other thing too, is Embiid, he's obviously still hurt by this. He only played 27 minutes. They got him out early when they knew he didn't, when they were out of it. Only 15 points in 27 minutes. Is this Embiid injury going to be a factor, you think, throughout the series? And can they sustain wins with Tatum playing so poorly?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to Dom. I'm sorry, Dom.
Talking to me?
I was like, wait, who's that going to? I mean, obviously, Embiid is a huge factor for the Sixers. I don't, unless he's playing at the level he's played all season, I don't see them winning this series, and certainly not the chip. As Joey said, I think Tatum will come out of the slump at some point. I think he's just too good, and players of that caliber, they have slumps and then they come back with a vengeance. So those two things sort of cancel each other out. Again, Matt said it on previous episodes. You cannot trust James Harden in the playoffs.
No.
We see that, especially the other night. I mean, he had 10 assists, but who cares? Like, he's got to put up points, especially if Embiid is going to be.
We put up 45 game 1 when Embiid wasn't there. Yesterday, not so much.
Well, that's my point. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they won it, and then he doesn't put up 45, and Embiid has a shitty night, and they lose badly. So, it's going to be interesting going forward. I think those are the two talking points, and I feel like Embiid's going to be fine. Like,
you think he settles in?
Yeah,
I'm coming back to Philly. I think they need to have a big game in Philly. At least a huge game 3 from him goes a long, long way into the series, just showing that he's back. You know what I mean? And that the injury isn't affecting him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Matt, what was your take on the game of the night?
Yeah, well, like Dom said, Harden did one of his things where here's the thing: the way he plays, in the regular season. Well, it's not so much anymore, although he had a pretty good year. But when you're playing a team on a Wednesday and then you play another team on a Friday, it's like the team's not entirely game planning for you because they got another game coming up, yada yada yada. So come playoff time, when you have a 7-game series, he becomes less effective because teams can game plan for him, and that way he plays where he holds, tries to draw a foul, and does that whole thing, and it just leads to too many games like that. And they can't win with that, especially with a compromised Embiid. So I think Boston's just too good in this series, especially with Embiid not being at 100%. But who knows? Maybe next game he drops 45. But I think Boston's just too good. Jason Tatum is not gonna. He's gonna wake up. He's too good.
Yeah, but if you were a lot of big games, he plays small in a lot of these big games. I know he had a big game one, but they didn't even win the big games.
You just hate Tatum.
Well, of course he does. Listen, it's Boston, so he hates him.
Yeah.
No, but listen, I love Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown is the star of that team. I love Jaylen Brown. I would love him on my team. He's a tremendous player.
Let me ask you this then: which one of those two finished fourth in MVP voting?
I'm sure it's Tatum because people are idiots. Because people are idiots. Not who would you rather have on your team, Matt? Brown or Tatum?
Tatum.
You're wrong. That's inaccurate. That's erroneous.
He's like, that was rhetorical.
I'd almost rather have Malcolm Brogdon than Jason Tatum.
Okay,
bro,
you're just like you're in Stephen A. Smith territory right now.
Yeah, you are.
Maybe
totally
worse. It might be worse. Maybe a little Skip Bayless territory, which would be worse.
Oh, that's way worse. Don't go there.
All right, let's get on to the next. Oh, well, actually, let me ask you a question. So, can we? And we'll go around real quick. Can we expect Embiid to bounce back in Game 3 in Philly? I'm looking for a 30-15 night personally. Joey,
I think so. At least
Matt?
30.
Yeah,
Matt?
I'm gonna say yes because I want the series to be more interesting than it. I mean, I guess
coming into it, I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's 1-1, so I guess it's interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
It's interesting only, but the weird part is it's been a game. None of the games have been how they're supposed to be. You expect Tatum to play better. You had a game where Embiid was out and Harden went off. So it hasn't been like you wanted it to be 1-1, but you wanted it to be where they're at full strength, straight battle, like a 120 to 115 kind of a game.
Yeah.
Dominic, what do you think? Does he come back in Game 3, have a huge game?
Yeah, I hope so.
I think he's got to for Philly to have a chance at all.
That would be great, but I hope he does. I think he needs to. I think he needs to play through it. He's the MVP. He needs to kind of prove that in the playoffs now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
It'd be a better series if he does.
Warriors tied the series 1-1, beating the Lakers 127-100. Gave an absolute drubbing to the Lakers. And another time where we look at, okay, well, Anthony Davis had a big Game 1, right? Well, what happens? Game 2, 11 points. What's the deal with Davis? Just not being able to put together consecutive games, not even because of injuries, just because just on his talent level, has a great game, follows it up with an 11-point game. Matt, what do we say to what Davis is doing there in LA?
It's too hard to try and figure him out. You thought maybe he was kind of locked in because they need him to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not a good enough shooting team, and yeah, he was trash, and they got absolutely trucked. So. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, I think Golden State's going to play like they did last night more often than Davis is going to play in Game 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
I
think it's going to be Golden State in 6. I kind of want the Lakers to win because it'd be fun to see LeBron try and do one last thing, but
you know me, I'm a Golden State guy. I love Seth Curry. Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Steph is the brother.
You like Steph Curry too.
Steph Curry's okay. I meant Steph Curry. I love him.
Del Curry also great.
Del Curry was great in the 90s. He had those great Burger King commercials. Golden State shot 50% from 3. Dallas shot 29%. I'm sorry, Dallas. What the hell's wrong? I'm gonna have a stroke today. The Lakers had shot 29%.
That is a Dallas-like stat, though.
It is
a Dallas.
But like, if Dallas again, Dallas, what the fuck is wrong with me? If the Lakers only shoot 30% from 3 the rest of the series, they have 0 shot. This is like a 5-game series, correct?
They're doomed.
They're doomed. Actually, listen, Hachimura looks good. He was 4 for 6 for 3. The only guy that hit 3-pointers, it seems like. He put up 21 points. Thompson though, 8 of 11 from 3-point range. 8 of 11 from 3-point range. You can't ask for a better night from shooting from that downtown.
No.
And then Curry did it a quiet 20 points, 3 for 5 from 3-point range, and they were still able to go up and win by 27, almost 30 points. What does LA need to do besides hitting their threes to turn this thing around, Tom?
I mean, I've questioned them from the beginning. I think people have hyped them up. Obviously, if Davis has a good game, they have a better chance of winning. I just still don't see it. You know, obviously they had a bad night.
Yeah.
You know, the role players were terrible. Russell had 10. Austin Reeves normally has a better game than that. He had 7. So they had a bad night. I think if the Lakers are going to win this, they can have incredible defense at times. That means Davis stepping up, you know, getting those 4 or 5 blocks a game. But I just think the Warriors are too good. I know they've had troubles on the road. I don't think that's going to matter anymore. They've got confidence now. They're playing as a team.
Also, too,
I don't like Draymond Green, but he's playing really well.
Yeah. Wiggins is back too. Like, remember, they played poorly on the road, but Wiggins was not there almost the whole season. So they had Wiggins gone for a long, long time. He's back. Their team is complete and whole for the first time in a long time. I feel like you got to throw any regular season stats kind of got to go out the window a little bit for wins and losses. I feel. Yeah,
totally. And honestly, I think Steph's playing as good or better than he's ever played in his career. You know, when did he win the MVPs? 14, 15, or 13? When did he win the MVP?
I thought it was.
He was in his 20s. He's now in his 30s. So he's just a phenomenal. I mean, he's changed the game as much as Jordan changed the game. So I love Steph and I want to see him win, and I hate the Lakers and I want them to lose. So there's my take, my hot take. I hate the Lakers.
Crossed on rivals, and shout out to Caleb, because Caleb says all the time with Steph how he basically changed the game. He made the 3-point shot like it was already part of the game, but he made it where it was such an imperative part of the game, an important part of the game. Now it's like people practice just shooting threes. Forget about all the others, the small range games, the short range games. Everybody's shooting threes, and that's pretty much because Steph totally translated how the NBA is nowadays. Joey,
100%. I mean, it's amazing that, you know,
which makes him super important to the legacy of the NBA. Forget about how good he's been. He now becomes a part of the fabric of the NBA because of that. You know what I mean? And basketball in general.
7, 8, 9-year-old kids can't dunk, but they can jack up as many threes as they want.
Yeah.
And, you know, when my kid plays, and they're not like practicing layups, they're all outside the arc, just throwing up these crazy threes. Yeah. And that's, you know, I think that's amazing. Steph's been amazing for the game.
So Joey, what's your take on this? Does LA have a chance to get back in this? I know it's only 1-1. We're making it seem like, I feel like we're kind of being negative on LA as far as thinking that they might be kind of done. But are they done? Did Golden State wake up in game 2? And are they about to set to take this run and kind of take over the series? Well, I can see this going in 5 games. I have Golden State in 6, but I could see it going in 5.
I mean, if Lakers start really playing something, I think it gets to 6. I just don't see them getting out of the series. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm with Dom here. I pretty much hate the Lakers, so it's just something I got to get off my chest there. You're going to need, Anthony Davis, you can't put up they're going to need more contributions from him, and it's got to be more consistent. You can't figure him out half the time. Some of the stuff that the contributions they're getting, Austin Reeves is 7 points. That's just not going to cut it when, Klay Thompson's putting up 30. There's more consistency along Golden State's front line, and you can tell in the points that they're putting up, all double digits. Some of these are, so basically they're just relying on LeBron, which is obvious. Hakamura, I mean, that's pretty much it. Anthony Davis, there's just
Patty, could you actually put up I don't want to see the Laker one. Can you actually put up the box score for the Warriors real quick?
Yeah, you'll see. And look at here, go one more, I think.
There we go.
There you go. Look, 20, 30,
Michael Green.
11.
Michael Green, even Michael Green with 50
That's
points.
what I'm
Also I think he was 3 for 6 from 3-point range. Yeah, he had 3 for 6 from 3-point range. And they did this. Listen, they won by almost 30 points, and they didn't even get a big game out of Jordan Poole or even Kevon Looney. He only played 12 minutes. I mean, he was the guy who really took over that series. He is. I get it. But he's the guy that took over this series from in the first round. And towards the end of that series, he's the one who really took that over on the boards with his defense. And what I'm trying to say is they won by 27, and they didn't have major contributions from him or Poole.
Right. They had the massive quarters, second and third quarters. They scored more than 40 points per quarter in those. I mean, it just it's hard to keep up with that when you're only putting up 20 in those.
When they start hitting those shots, man,
and that's And again, once he starts hitting them, and he didn't even put up, he wasn't.
Well, it was Clay it was Clay yesterday.
Yeah, because Curry usually is the one that's putting up, that, but he only put up 20. For him, that's only, and they still did that. See, I don't see Golden State to me is just more complete, and they get contributions from all their bench, like everybody. So,
and they're more complete than they've been all season now that they finally got Wiggins back. We'll see
and I haven't been behind the Lakers.
Aside
from hating the Lakers, they just haven't been that great to me. I just don't see it.
I agree.
They need to get back to the game one where they were driving the lane and getting to the rim and drawing fouls, because that's the only way.
Yeah. That's their game.
They settled for too many mid-range jumpers yesterday, and they're not gonna. You can't get into a shooting war with Golden State because Golden State's shooting threes. Yeah, and fucking the Lakers are 16 footers.
Well, if you like you said, Matt, game one, it was like I think Golden State only had like 6 free throws the whole game.
25-6 was the discrepancy.
Something. And yesterday was more even. I think it was like 17-17 or 18-18, something like that.
Yeah, because they weren't driving. They weren't really driving to the hoop. They're settling for these mid-range jumpers, and it's not going to work. You're not going to win that way. So,
well, they're also in a position now where LeBron's too old to bail you out. He's not in. He's not going to go get you 40 every game like he used to in the playoffs. So Davis has got to step up. I think it's as simple as if Davis has got to step up both defensively and offensively, and if he doesn't, they're out.
Yeah, he definitely needs to kind of suck it up. Forget about stop looking like an old man, like you need a wheelchair at the end of the bench. Just I mean, and it's enough with the one day good, one day bad. Like we sing his praises every other day, and the other day we're like dumbfounded that where did he go?
Right?
Why even play? But let's break into a debatable topic. Our first one is how do we fix? I think we'll do the Clippers one. That way, we definitely get to it because I feel like Dominic. If there's anyone that knows how to fix the Clippers, it's my man Dom right here.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna start with you, Dom, because that's your team. How do we fix the Clippers?
Oh man, how do we fix my poor Clips? Well, I hate to say it, and I love him. But I don't see you going far in the playoffs with Kawhi Leonard. I don't think he's ever going to be healthy enough. I don't think you can get the consistency in the regular season with load management. You could roll the dice one more year, maybe see if he can stay healthy. See if PG can stay healthy. Those two have been through so many insanely bad injuries for basketball players all the time pick up stuff that gets them out for 2 or 3 weeks. These are injuries that puts you out for a whole season, months, and multiple times, and you just don't really ever come back from those. I don't think, especially as you're getting older and you're not in your prime. It's easier when you're a young man and you can kind of bounce back, but then they're no spring chickens. So I don't know who you trade for, or if you even trade, or if you roll the dice another year. I think the only way to fix it is to stop fucking trading away young talent and keep it and build it and not get power hungry. And we need a chip now. It's like, listen, we've been fucking awful for 35, 40 years or however long the Clippers have been going. Yep. It's okay to rebuild for like Lob City, failure. Then Kawhi PG, it's failing. Like, just build young talent and stop trading it away from the shiniest star in the box.
I know Lob City didn't bring you guys a championship, but it definitely made the Clippers a household name for years. The Clippers were a cellar dweller in the NBA. Yeah. At least they made them relevant. I don't know. I wouldn't call Lob City completely a failure. I would say if you wouldn't have as bad a years as you did prior to that,
talking in terms of winning the Larry, it was a failure. No, you're absolutely right. It put us on the map that I don't think we were ever on, and it was really fun to watch. I found all that kind of the Doc Rivers thing was really interesting, and I watched a couple of the players talking to each other about it, and they were really like, "What the fuck is like? He was the coach. Like, take some fucking accountability." So that whole thing was really interesting. I was at that game when we're 3-1 up against Houston and just shit the bed. and I threw drinks, and probably will be never be allowed in a box again. But so,
you British, you soccer hooligans bring it.
Yeah, I bring the soccer hooliganism to basketball. But yeah, that group of guys did a lot of good things for the Clippers, and I believe in Steve Ballmer. I think he's crazier than a box.
He wants to win.
He wants to win, and he wants to pour money.
Great dancer.
To it.
That's true. That's true.
I have to believe he's on some sort of narcotics 100% of the time, because I just like he's
at
just
minimum
always,
50.
Yeah,
at minimum 50. Can this team as constituted, if healthy, can this team as constituted? Not can, if healthy. So the if I'm going to give it is healthy. If healthy, does this team win a championship in the next 3 years?
Yeah, but that's such a huge if.
Oh, I get it, but if healthy, would they win a championship?
Yeah.
Think about the rest of the league, the rest of the Western Conference, having to deal with the Suns, an up-and-coming upstart Sacramento Kings. Golden State is still what they are. Is that a championship caliber club the next 3 years if healthy?
If they keep that bench, oh my God, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's super deep.
Kawhi's healthy, and then you're double teaming Kawhi, and you can hand it off to Paul George. And then all the other bench players that can step up for you. I don't see why not. But again, ifs are not my favorite thing. So there's so many ifs. If Kawhi hadn't gone down, we probably would have gone to the finals 2 years ago. If doesn't cut it. And I just don't think they can be healthy. That's my point. I think Kawhi certainly can't. I think his knees are done. And he wants to keep playing. So he's not just going to. Now, I'm not saying you play through a torn meniscus. That's ridiculous. But
I mean, I say toughen up, but that's
no.
Yeah,
well,
you did multiple times. Why isn't he playing? His knee blew up.
Rule 65: play like a champion, and he didn't.
Yeah.
It's rule
So
75.
yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't see the health aspect of it happening. And that's why I believe we have to invest in young talent and build it that way. Much like the Celtics did however many years ago, and look at them now. It's paying off. So I didn't really answer the question of how you fix the Clippers.
You more like wallowed. You more like
I don't know where I'm going with
I was letting you get it out.
Okay, Steve Ballmer will fix the Clippers. I don't know how, and I don't know when.
Is Kyrie Irving a piece of this thing going forward?
No fucking way.
You don't want him, but
stay away from the flat earther. Don't bring him to Inglewood, please.
Matt, what's your take on the Clippers, man? What do they got to do to kind of set the ship right? They got to get rid of one of these guys that are listed albatross around their
well, you can't though. You can't, because you're not going to get any value for him. Well, you get some value for Paul George.
But maybe to restart. You get some picks.
Man, I don't know. They traded so many assets to get Paul George, and you got Kawhi Leonard with it. So, I mean, I think they're just pot committed. They have to ride it out right now because they don't have enough assets to do a rebuild. Mm-hmm. They just got to hope Kawhi's knee can, like, Paul George will be back playing. I mean, I'm more confident he can stay healthy than. You just can't bet on Kawhi, and it sucks because we saw how fucking good he is.
How dominant when he's on,
Still. And I just don't think there's anything they can do. I think they got to ride this out for the next couple of years, hope for the best, and then don't trade any more assets. I don't know what you do with Russell Westbrook because, God,
I think you might as well bring him in. He played. Listen, you left a lot on his shoulders in that playoff series, and I thought up until that last game, he played well.
He played his ass off, but I mean, he still have a couple games where he still went like he worked hard, especially on D. But his last game, he went 3 of 18.
3 for 18. Yeah.
He does some weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah,
he can't. He's just Oh man, I don't know. Like you love that he still has that thing where he's like, I'm the best player on the court. He wants to take over, but it's just if he can like lock into being that like third, fourth, maybe off the bench kind of guy. And play with that and play with committed defense, not because most of the time, if you watched watch him play at all last 5 years, defensively he doesn't follow cutters, he gets lost. He tries to do his own thing. He tries to, and it's like more often than not he's doing the head turn, and it's like his guy's putting up an uncontested layup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so I don't know how he's going to keep this going moving forward, because I mean he was playing against KD and he's playing for a contract, and so if he gets signed next year, I just don't know if it's. I think you're probably going to see the old Westbrook more than this last one. But
I think so. I think going forward, Westbrook's going to be playing a bunch of just 1-year contracts until he retires.
no one's giving him a big multi-year deal.
I think every year he'll be singing for a soup every single year. Joey, is Westbrook part of the equation next year for the Clips?
I don't know.
Is this one of those things that we just say, hey, you know what? Let's just leave it the way it is for 3. Whatever. Dom, how long does George and Kawhi sign for still? Like, how many years left on those contracts?
I think it's 2. Kawhi at least, right? I think he just re-up for 2 more.
And then, all right. So is this one of those things, Joey, where you let them sit there for 2 years and be like, you know what? Let's just get the wins we can. We'll have people come see them as best as we can. And then in 2 years, when they go, we'll just clear off the books at that point and we'll start fresh then. I mean, you can't really trade these. You can't move these contracts.
Right.
Unless you're going to give something really sweet with it, like multiple more picks and stuff that you don't want to give up anymore, stuff I don't even know if they have to give up. So you're pretty much stuck. Is this one of these we just ride out the next 2 years and just, if you get a couple of wins, you make it run the playoffs, great. If you don't, it is what it is. Let's just get out of these contracts.
Well, yeah, with the contracts, you are, like Matt said, even Dom, you are stuck, and you have to, it could be if and hopium and all that stuff all day that they stay healthy at least next 2 years. That's the only way you're really going to win a decent amount of games. I mean, when they're barely in the game, like Paul George, I have more confidence in him staying healthy, but why is his knees, like you said, it's unfortunate.
Paul George took a knock. I mean, it's not Paul George. When Paul George gets injured, he's like crashing into the back of it.
Oh yeah, like listen, his injuries are legit. I mean,
but Kawhi's like just running around and it like goes. That's super worrying for an athlete if there's no really impact or anything going on.
It sucks that he can't, because like Matt said, how fucking good he really can be when he's healthy. It's just unfortunate. You know, there's the athletes, and this is in all sports, and baseball and football and basketball, and these guys that are so supremely talented and the body just starts breaking down. They get a lot of mileage on them. People like if you even think about it, LeBron James, how many miles does his legs and knees have where he's just now, I mean, he can be a dominant player, not maybe every single night, but for most nights he is. But eventually, just like Kobe, he was dominant for so many years, and then, you know, the body starts breaking down eventually. And then there's these guys that are they're almost like chandeliers, man. They're like amazing, but they touch anything or nobody touches them, and then the body just doesn't want to take it. So it kind of sucks. But yeah, for these guys here, they're going to have to kind of ride it out, hoping the amount of games that they're going to win is basically going to go on health. And that's just an if, and you hope and all that other stuff. And then, after that, you're probably going to have to, I wouldn't say clean house on like the younger guys. But yeah, for these heavy top heavy contracts and kind of build through young players and just do it that way. You know, a lot of teams have done that. It takes time. Unfortunately, nobody wants to hear that. That's kind of when you start putting all your eggs in a couple baskets, and you kind of bring in some veteran players that are really good, but then they start breaking down at that point of their career. You're kind of stuck until you're done with it. It's just, it's one of those things.
I think the problem has. Sorry, Matt, you go.
I was going to say, does it say more about the Clippers, or does it say more about us when it's like, how do you fix the Clippers? And all of us are like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
no, you know, they're stuck. It's more about the Clippers. They're stuck. They got these contracts. You can't move if you want. You don't even have sweeteners. Like, you know, what do you usually do when you have a contract that nobody wants? You put a young player with them, or you put draft picks with them. They don't even have
or you take a shitty contract back.
Or you take one back, which only puts them right in the same exact predicament they're in right now. So they don't have picks really to give. They don't have a young talent really to give that's worth giving away, that you're going to say, you know what? My thing, I really feel like the best thing they can do is just run with the squad they got for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
If they win, they make a playoff run, great. But I'm not getting suckered into giving these guys any more extensions, any more deals. At that moment, when those 2 guys are off my books, I hit that reset button and I'll go, okay, we're going to have a couple of years. We might have to go trust the process, as they said in Philly all those years, and build something up that way. It's still LA market. I get it. They're the little brother of the Lakers. It's still the LA market. People would still love to go there, just as they've proven. The Clippers have been able to draw people to that team. Kawhi and Paul George and obviously Westbrook, that was the second choice, but they've been able to get people to want to come there. They have one more guaranteed year left on their contract. They're looking to keep this 2. Well, I think that's also lip service.
This was their second extension, I guess, this year. Yeah.
Well, so yes, because they have an issue because they're moving to a nice shiny new arena in next year, whenever it is, and you can't move to arena and be like, "Here's your Clipper squad," and everyone's like, "Who's that? Who's this guy? What?"
But,
So-
but a true Clipper fan doesn't want to see that because you know the real Dom. You know you don't care if they have a good squad or a half-assed squad.
No, I don't. But it's
so
LA,
I give you
dude. There's a lot of fair weather fans in this town.
There is. But at the same time, I feel bad for the real fans then.
Yeah, but it's a Lakers town, and there's only like I can count on one hand the amount of diehard Clippers fans I know.
Yeah.
And it's like that's been their thing, the shiny, glitzy, like we're trying to it in a different kind of more down to earth way. And if you're moving to a new arena and you haven't got any of the kind of attractions, he's gonna lose money, and it's gonna be rough. So I think they have to see what PG and Kawhi can do, especially moving into the arena, and then, as you say, after when it's up, clean house and try and figure it out.
I'll tell you what, it might be
a tough one. It just traded away, like Matt said, so many, like just the gluttony of like we're gonna do it now because Kawhi is the shiniest thing in the box, and it's really bit us in the bum. It
might be the hardest team to fix in the whole league. It really might be.
Yeah.
Because of the situation with salary cap and everything else. It really might be
a lot of sage. There you go. A lot of sage and Palo Alto. That'll fix us. Just in the new arena, just everywhere. All over the place. Go Phil Jackson with that shit.
Phil Jackson. That's a dirty word on the Clipper side of LA. But all right, so let's get into, hopefully for Dom's sake, Clippers turn this thing around and turn it around quick.
And keep Ty Lue. You got to keep Ty Lue.
Yeah, Ty Lue, I think he's a better coach than I thought he was going to be when he first came into the league. At first, I think we all thought, oh, okay, LeBron's lapdog. Whenever any coach gets put into a team where LeBron's there, you always think, all right, how much is this guy really coaching? But he's proven to be a tremendous coach, I think, and he gets maybe more out of the players than he should. I think it's the case we made that the Clippers actually did better than they should have, even in that playoff run. Even though they went down 5-1, I feel like they were, the way the injuries were, they were completely not mismanaged. I'm sorry. What's the word I'm looking for? Like outshined, I guess. I don't know, but they were able to at least make some of those games worthy of watching and pull that first game out. Of course, they didn't do anything for Dom. Dom was still upset about it, but I digress.
Well, I'm glad the Suns are losing now. That's good to see.
Yeah, well. Poor Abby's upset about that one, but we'll talk about that later. We'll see Abby next week. It says she feels about where her Suns stand. All right, Mike Budenholzer fired by the Bucks. Is this scapegoat? Is this a scapegoat thing, Matt?
Yeah, but also he was awful.
Down the stretch of those games, he was. I'll give him that. But he was also dealing with a banged up Giannis. He was also dealing with a lot of other things. I mean, if you look at his overall record with the Bucks, 271 to 120. He has a 69% winning percentage. Giannis wins 2 MVPs under his tutelage. He wins Coach of the Year. He wins a chip. I don't know. To me, this sounds like very scapegoaty. And he did lose. We do need to say this, and I haven't heard it confirmed from many places. I believe Darvin Ham actually is the one who actually put it out there. Is Budenholzer's brother passed away before Game 4. That's a lot of heavy shit to deal with in a playoff run. And now to only find out like a week later you're getting fired too. Listen, someone's going to get a good coach. Budenholzer's going to go somewhere and turn the program around. I think he's a tremendous coach. I personally think scapegoat, which I guess when you're a number 1 seed, you lose to a play-in seed, you maybe have to have a scapegoat. But
he made some egregious calls,
especially defensively.
Yeah, and also too, it's like we see this in the NBA all the time. After 5 years, like Nick Nurse. They just left, and like he's a great coach too.
Not all the time though. Spoelstra's still there. He's been there for like what, 15 years?
Yeah. I don't know. Coach Budge is sometimes he gets so stubborn about things, and it's I don't know. He makes some confounding decisions or lack thereof. Like the timeout situation was so bizarre.
Yeah.
They didn't move the ball up with 2 seconds left.
Matt, I 100% agree. Horrendous calls down the stretch, especially in Game 5. But do we hold any credence to the fact that he lost his brother like 2 days prior? It's got to hold a little bit of weight, right?
I was gonna make a shitty joke. I'm definitely not gonna do that.
Go ahead, make it. I don't know, Budenholzer.
No. Yeah, I mean that's not the easiest thing. Listen, I have 3 brothers, so I could lose 1 or 2, so it'd be fine if I was coaching. But
I got one, but he's a horrible producer. So if I lost one, I could deal with it. I make do.
That sucks. That's really sad. I actually didn't really even know that. But listen, let's not feel too bad for him. He got fired, so it means he's getting big chunk
his money.
Making his money, and he might be able to double dip coming up. Because, like you said, someone's going to hire him. Well, despite his decisions, like you would love to sit down and be like, "What happened? Talk us through."
Like, did you forget how much time was on the clock?
Yeah. You forget you had a timeout. Anyways, go. I've talked long enough. Go.
Joey, is he gonna end up somewhere and turn the program around? He's still that good of a coach, is he not?
Oh, I definitely think he's a good coach, and it does feel a little scapegoaty, but I mean, this is how it works in sports. You finish the NBA with the best, the best record, and you're ousted in 5 games in the first. I mean, like by the bottom seed, somebody's head's got to roll. Unfortunately, the coaches, just like they take sometimes too much credit for wins, they're gonna take the credit for the losses too. So this is kind of one of those things where, I guess, and like you were saying, some of the decisions, and I don't know what's going on behind closed doors and all that stuff. So maybe, but of course he's gonna get a job somewhere else, and of course he's gonna get paid a lot of money. And will he turn it around? Most likely, he's a good coach. It's just. Sometimes you run your course where you're at, and I guess they just say we want to change. I don't know. Again, whether it was deserved or not, I can't say, but it's just kind of the way. It's just the kind of way things go in sports. You can't be the top dog and then get ousted like that.
I get it. But there was some injuries. He was dealing with losing the best player in basketball for a couple of games, and then still being hurt. That's got to that's got to be added to the equation. Listen, if he takes a fully healthy Bucks team into that series, all right, I get it. Maybe I could say, okay, maybe there's a case to be made, even though he's done so many other good things for this franchise in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Maybe I can make a case, okay, he needs to go. But Dom, I mean, doesn't the fact that Giannis gets injured gotta be a reason of why, okay, we just gotta retool and just come back for next year?
I don't think so, because as much as I don't like it, of the knee-jerk reaction, I think his mistakes down the stretch were just too bad. I mean, if you're gonna let Jimmy Butler just go off and not even double team him, not even like try and change your defensive strategy against him, you can't get away with that. And as Joey said, that you need a head to roll, and his particular performance in coaching in that series was god awful. It's so blatant and so obvious it was on him. So yeah, I mean, he won him a chip, and he's gonna get paid. And I don't like it. I don't like the knee-jerk reaction, but I totally see why. And people have been fired for a lot less.
Yeah, a lot less.
So I get it. I do get it.
All right. Well, I personally still think that he's going to go somewhere and turn the franchise around. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather have Tyrone Lue, or would you rather have Budenholzer? They're both really good coaches, but do you think Lue's that
way better coach than Bud?
I wouldn't say that. You think so?
I would.
I mean, you asked the question, Dean. Let him answer.
Again, we're going to base this man's career on one series. He had one bad series.
Oh, he's had a lot. He's had a lot of these decisions before.
But who said Dom's
the Jimmy Butler situation? Yeah, the Jimmy Butler situation. He doesn't change. He's stubborn on his matchups, and he does this thing where he's like, "Oh, I'll let him do that. We'll just focus on the rest of the team." It's like, but sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes you need to adjust. I don't know.
That's why I'd rather have Ty Lue, because Ty is a master adjuster. He
that was a master adjuster.
Situations. Gene's just not letting me talk today.
No, I'm just. All right. That's what happens to me.
So, what do you think about this? Well, you know what I think. All
right,
like, wait,
and then I'll talk.
Like,
well, you know what? I'm done.
Oh,
hey, Gene, you're like, Dom, would you rather have so-and-so or so-and-so? He's like, so-and-so. What do you mean? You don't want the other one? I don't understand. How do you not want the other one?
I can't believe the hate for Mike Budenholzer. The man lost his brother.
He didn't say he just.
It's not hate. You gave me the option of Ty Lue or Coach Bud, and I would take Ty Lue every single time.
Okay.
Dude, he picks one guy, and you're like, why do you hate the other guy? I don't understand. How do you hate him?
So you're glad his
brother doesn't mean he's a bad coach, or doesn't mean he's a good coach.
Right. And Gene, I want to be clear. It's not that I agree with it. It's what happens. It doesn't surprise me.
3 games to 1, you lose, Gene. Sorry.
I gotta say this is I don't do this often. But I just want to say one thing. I'm actually right, and all three of you guys are wrong. And I don't do that often, but I'm gonna go.
Boy, shocker there.
All right, let's go. What's up next in the NBA rumor mill? Phoenix could try to land Kyrie Irving in a sign and trade deal this summer. Do we think there's any truth to this rumor? And if there is any truth to this rumor, is this a good idea? Dom, I'll let you go first since I like to overtalk you. And I will stay quiet, I promise.
And then he won't tell him talk.
Sign and trade with whom? Like, you're gonna put him with
the talk is Ayton might be the guy. That's the rumors. It might be Ayton.
So they're gonna put him with Durant again and mess that up again. Like, why?
I agree. I'm not
don't understand that at all. That just seems like, oh, let's get all of the everyone. Let's just build a super team. I don't see it happening. Can they afford it? How big is Ayton's contract?
It can't be. I mean, it can't be that. I'm sure it's not on the level of Kyrie's. I don't know what it is. If Patty can look it up, I'm sure it's on the level of Kyrie's. But also, Kyrie is going to be a free agent, so he can really kind of dictate to what he makes. Maybe he's willing to go take a little less. Maybe for he could use some good public perception. So maybe it makes sense for him to go to a place, take less money to be like, I want to win more than make money thing and go get a chip. Maybe that, maybe he could use some of that positive, that positive look within the NBA community. You know what I mean?
I mean, if Chris Paul's out, right? He's injured.
He's out for at least a week. He might not be. He might not be back for the rest of the season.
That's like PTSD. It's every series he's ever played. So I mean, if he's done, if he moves on, then you could try it again. It hasn't worked in Brooklyn. Why is it going to work in Phoenix? I don't know.
I agree with you. I don't touch him.
To me,
I don't touch him. Matt, what are you doing?
Durant already wasted 4 or 5 years of his career by choosing to team up with Kyrie, even though all the smoke that was going around and there was a lot of fire, and it went probably as bad as anyone could have predicted. And doing that again would be insane and would reflect a lot on KD if he's like, because obviously these guys have a lot of say in what moves are done, but God almighty, why the hell would you want to do that again? But also, now you're going to have 3 ball dominant. Durant can adjust and play with anybody, but I mean, do they need Kyrie?
They don't. And that's really where I think I'm going with this. Is this, if there's any truth to this rumor, it's just more for ticket sales than anything else. Like, why are you going to take away one of your dominant in the pieces in the middle up front in the front court to get rid of him, to go bring in another guy that can't do anything better than Booker can do? Booker can already do whatever Kyrie can do, and it's just as good. All right, maybe off the dribble, Kyrie does things that nobody else can do, but do we even need that? What about a full season with Booker, Ayton, and Durant? Like, we haven't even seen that yet. We saw it for a few games and into this playoff run. Is that something we need to do? Don't we need to see that first, how that threesome works first?
Yeah. I agree though. I don't see it. It didn't work in Brooklyn. And I know from what I read, I know Durant enjoys playing with him, but it didn't work then. So I don't see what's the difference now. Oh,
agreed. Other than being maybe a better team, all around, they didn't have Booker in Brooklyn, but I also think, well, at the same time, does that stunt what Booker is doing, having Kyrie come in there and being so ball dominant? You know what I mean?
Right,
I mean, I think if you could sub out Chris Paul for Chris Paul of 10 years ago, I don't know who that is in the league, who's a pass first top level point guard. I don't know who that'd be. Then go get him, because then if you've got Booker and Durant and you've got the guy that can provide for those two guys, that's an unstoppable combination. But Kyrie, no way, man. It's so dumb.
Brunson would have been a good pickup for them last offseason if they could have done that. That would have been a good spot for Brunson. Phoenix. Because he's kind of, he'll pass the wall. All right, so on to the next one. Another rumor: the Heat might have some interest in signing the Grizzlies' free agent Dillon Brooks. We talked about this a little on Wednesday, Matt, and I said that I don't think he's going to be in the NBA. I think he was going to be playing for the Shanghai Sharks of the China League. So I'll let you start, since we talked a little bit last Wednesday. Matt, could you see this at all possibly happening? Why Miami, on such a good run now, even needs a guy like Dillon Brooks? They're showing that they can do something without him. Why bring him in at all?
Heat culture.
They think they can get something out of that other teams couldn't because of heat culture. First of all, let me say this, and I'm sorry, Joey. I don't know if you're necessarily I don't know who you root for in basketball.
I like the. No, I like the.
But can I say so? Then this might offend you a little bit, but I think the heat culture phrase, the whole heat culture, is bullshit. There's no heat culture. All right, it's maybe Pat Riley culture, and right now it's in Miami. But I don't believe in this heat culture thing. Me personally, Matt, do you?
No, but it's this stupid mantra. And then what happens is it's so fucking dumb, and it makes no sense. And then they win in the playoffs when they shouldn't win, and you're like, God damn it! This is just going to lead to more heat culture shit. Son of a bitch. But I think, I don't think he's I didn't agree that he'd be out of the league. I think he can be an effective player off the bench. He wasn't. He had a really bad series, obviously, which did not look good after all the shit talk. But yeah, I mean, he could be effective. Listen, Lance Stevenson got 3 chances after kind of washing out. So
Lance Stevenson was a better player, though. No. Stevenson. I mean, listen, he had that great night in Detroit that we all remember. That was a great night that he had in Detroit, right? Where we punched that guy. But
yeah, maybe. But I think it's pretty realistic. And that's honestly.
I'm thinking of run-out test actually. I'm doing a run-out test actually.
Yeah, but Lance could turn it on. Lance could definitely turn it on. He had chops.
His biggest highlight was blowing softly into LeBron's ear. That was
I love that. I love that so much. That was. So
I'll tell you,
funny.
I would have took him on the Knicks for that alone. I would have loved it. But that's what I mean. But I feel like that's what Brooks is. Brooks is just all talk, no show. He talks the talk, but he doesn't walk the walk. Ever, it seems like. I don't remember. I could say the last time that Dylan Brooks had a really good game. I don't know. No, he even had a game where he took over a game. Dom, do you see him in the NBA next year? And if so, where do you think he'd even be a fit?
I'm with Matt on that. I don't think he's going to be demoted to the China League or out in Australia.
If Dwight Howard can be demoted, Dylan Brooks can be demoted.
Yeah, but Dwight Howard is old. I think Dylan Brooks can still bring something to a team off the bench.
Is he worth the headache though? Is he worth him running his mouth? Is he worth the headache? That's the major part of it.
Well, I think it needs the right coach to shut him up.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's not the Grizzlies coach.
No.
It needs a real, guy who manages egos and to put him in his place. And I think if that happens, he could be quite useful. He's not terrible.
What about a Donovan in Chicago? Donovan has managed some egos before. I think he might be able to do it. Or what about even Lou in LA? If you could get him under your cap and bring in a guy like that off the bench. Do you want him in LA?
You know what? I wouldn't say no to that. I wouldn't say no to that. I think Ty Lue is definitely a coach that could manage that kind of ego. I don't like Dylan Brooks, so I wouldn't really want him on the Clips. But if it happened, whatever. I mean, as I say, I think he could be great off the bench for somebody.
Joey, what about you? Would you have him going? I mean, there's a rumor that it could be Miami, but could it be Miami? Could you see him playing? Could he fit in with what they got now? Do they even need him? They're obviously really playing well without a Dylan Brooks. Do they need any? Do they even need the Dylan Brooks on this roster? He might not be
worth the headache. If they could get him at a super cheap price, maybe. The only problem is, and I like Spoelstra, I don't think he's that type of coach to deal with that kind of ego. He's just not. He's more like a player pleaser to me, more than other coaches. And I've been seeing him for many, many years. He's a good coach. He's not that type of coach. At least I don't see him that way. I don't think he's ever managed his players that way. He's a good coach. He's managed a lot of different talent on that team and won in a bunch of different ways. But I don't think he's that type of coach to manage that kind of a headache in the locker room. Because you're right, without a player like him, and I don't think he would be relegated to going to the China League or something like that. He's not that bad. But I just don't see messing with the locker room chemistry, even if the Heat won games they're not supposed to. They still have good chemistry. It's just kind of the way they are. So I don't know if you want to inject that in there. It's like putting you got your bad locker room players, just like we see in all kinds of sports. You don't want to see that. So I don't think it would be worth the headache. But again, unless they got him for super cheap and they felt that they could manage him, maybe that would be the only way. But I don't even know where he would go, to be honest.
I'm going to make my prediction. He's 6th Man of the Year winner next year in China for the Shanghai Sharks. That's my prediction. Guys, we're going to take a short commercial break. We come back when we talk a little bit of NFL.
Craving your favorite theme park treats right from the comfort of your home? Introducing MainStreetTreat.com. We bring your favorite treats right to your doorstep. Visit MainStreetTreat.com today and go ahead, treat yourself.
Happiness is addictive. Passionate about spreading laughter and creating smiles worldwide. Happiness is addictive. Brings our global community together through humor, optimism, cheer, hopefulness, and merriment. Happiness is addictive. Happiness is addictive.
Wasn't quite ready for that commercial break to end. Sorry, guys.
Good job, Patty.
All right.
Yeah, the commercials. You need to be back in
Be
time.
more professional.
I'm a train wreck. I really am. But you know what? I'm at least a little bit more professional than Dylan Brooks. Although if I don't keep my my P's and Q's going, I'll end up in China doing podcasting myself. So, but I'll get to at least talk more about Dylan Brooks by next year if that's the case, right? So, all right, let's keep. You know what? We're gonna go do NFL a little bit close to the end. Let's keep it on the NBA thing so that we can keep Dom Lewis happy. Dom Lewis, we'll start with you. Actually, no, this one we'll start with my man Matt because he is a Toronto fan. Rumor is Pascal Siakam and OJ are the most likely players to move if the Raptors make changes. I don't think this is really a surprise. I think that's kind of what people think they are going to go because I think they can get the most bang for their buck by moving those two players to really move the future. The thing that I thought was a surprise is the only untouchable guy is Scotty Barnes. He's got a good year 2 years ago. A little maybe didn't really take that extra step forward. I think we all expected last year. But Matt, you're the Toronto guy. You tell us.
Yeah, well, he didn't, but he's still a good player. Like he's a smart player. He's good defense.
No, I get that.
He can move the ball. He needs to improve his shooting, but I feel like he's the kind of guy who will. Like he wasn't a bad shooter his first year. Last year he wasn't great. Yeah, I wouldn't trade. It seems like OG is going to go. That just seems, which is kind of sucks, but I really like him. Trading both of them doesn't make a lot of sense at all. Siakam is too good offensively. OG can't stay on the court. I mean, he would fit really good. I know there were some talks at the deadline, but Memphis, if you had OG in that Dylan Brooks spot, man, they would have been way better off. He's an excellent defender, a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a demand for it. So I think if anyone goes, it's going to be OG, which pains me. But having Siakam, OG, and Barnes,
it's kind of redundant.
It's very redundant. And while I know I've talked about this before, while initially I loved it last year, I loved the versatility of them and they're all good defenders. It just didn't work.
No,
it didn't work.
No.
So.
And you know what, too, is OG is going to be – I think he's going to be easy to move. And the reason why is because if you remember like you kind of touched on it last trading deadline with the Memphis Grizzlies, I feel like half the league was in on OG. Like where I was surprised he didn't get traded last trade deadline because it seemed like everybody was in on OG that they wanted to bring him in. The part that surprises me is Pascal Siakam. I feel like he's still too good of a player to move.
I wouldn't trade him.
Right? Do you think the only reason why they might is just because the return on him could be so big?
Yeah, you'll get a haul for him, but I mean, he's really good.
He's really good. Really,
yeah.
Like first team All Pro, kind of good. Well, maybe not first team, but second team.
Yeah, I mean, he was third team last year, I think.
Yeah.
And he's in that world, and he's a good shooter. He's a good defender. He's a smart player. He moves the ball. He's long. He can be really, really good. Like what did he average last year? Like 26,
I don't
7,
have 5? The numbers in front of me. If Pat
26, 9, and 6 or something. Here, I'm gonna beat Patty.
Here we go. The Matt Pat race is on again. It always is. Pat, you get beat a lot.
I'm undefeated. I'm undefeated.
Pretty much. I think he might have gotten you once maybe.
24, 8, and 6 last year.
And there you go, beat him again almost. Yeah. So I mean,
24, 8, and 6.
The stat box.
That's good. That's really good. So I wouldn't trade him, but it depends what's coming back, I guess.
You know, Siakam too. I think he, to be fair, as good as he is, I think he'd be better in a spot where he's not the number one option. If he could be the number 2 option, I think it'd be better for him because I think he'd look even better as not having to be the guy. Dom, what do you think? Do you think Siakam? It's not fair. Has a creative banner. Oh, excuses. Dom, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Siakam should be your top dog. I think he needs. Yeah, I mean, I guess. What do you do with Toronto? How do you get them to compete again at a high level? I mean,
they're right in that mid-range level, right?
That's what I mean.
It's hard to move up or down when you're that good.
Fully rebuild and get into the lottery. So it's probably going to be a tough few years. What do you think, Matt? It's tough because you got to. I don't know. You got to draw someone. It would be like one of those freak, like, oh my God, so and so's gone to the Raptors.
Yeah,
and then that would like ignite the spark.
They need a point guard because Freddie's a free agent. Like maybe they roll it back with him. He's good, but he had a tough year last year, and which he fully admitted, shooting wise. And listen, we all love Freddie, undrafted player, brought the chip with the dip, but
he'll go to the Heat. He'll go to the Heat then.
Yeah, maybe. Oh fuck! What a deal! Getting rid of Lowry just the right time, but. Yeah, geez, I don't know, but I mean, you have some good pieces to build around. Like if you trade,
definitely do.
Yeah, so if you trade one of those guys, like there was some talk, it was 3 first-round picks offered. I know first-round picks in the NBA are not like the other sports. The hit rate is way lower, but still, that's not nothing. And if you're gonna get some sort of roster player, I don't know. It's interesting. I think OG's got to be the guy to go, and then you have to address the center position because Pirtle's a free agent, and he played really well with them. But you need somebody like that now again in the NBA. It's kind of switched back to needing a big man, and
I thought he had one more year left. Portal doesn't have one more year.
I thought he did too. I don't think that he does.
What about Kyrie to go play with Siakam?
Would he go to Toronto?
Oh my God! You know what? I would talk myself into that in a heartbeat.
But I don't think that's a bad shout because
it's definitely not.
He gets to be the guy. He gets to be the guy. He doesn't have to deal with someone else's ego. Siakam will play with him great.
Yeah.
And he can be the dude. And it might just work.
It's actually they actually would complement each other. That's that's a good call out, Dom.
I love that now. God damn it. I do not want to root for Kyrie. I don't want to root for Kyrie.
Could you imagine having to explain those
tweets
on the show?
They've got the cap space to really pay him.
Matt's gonna have to worry on Twitter. Like, don't say something I got to explain next week on Pop Off. Please don't say anything I got to explain on Pop Off.
I've already had my Kyrie tweets. God damn it, that's actually a good idea. Shit,
it fits, man. It really. I didn't even think about it, but Dom, that was and it's something like again. I don't think they're too cap strung, so because they're all paying some guys. That you don't keep Van Fleet, which is going to be a big contract, so you got that off the books. Yeah, you're gonna probably move, like you said before, probably move an OG, which maybe might be like a sign and trade kind of situation. You might see them do a sign and trade with Dallas anyway. And OG could be a good spot on that. And OG, you know what? That would be a good spot for him over in Dallas. That actually would fit Dallas well.
Yeah.
And I think Dallas would be better for it because you don't got 2 ball dominant guys on the same team. Now you could have OG kind of like playing off the side. That would be, and you probably obviously going to send some picks over that with OG to Dallas. I think that would probably be a really good move. I think we just fixed Dallas and Toronto. Right. Yeah, Joey, what do you think?
Yeah. I can't fix the Clippers, but I can fix the Raptors.
and the Mavericks. We just did it right here on the Pop Off on Cinco de Mayo. We just fixed both those teams.
There you go. They just need to call us when they need to find out what they want to do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no. For me, only when they're talking about, possibly moving certain players, OG would be he's such a good player, but you could get, if you could get such a big haul with him, it might be worth it. Instead of having just one really good player, you might be able to get several really good players. I don't know. That's about the only thing I could think of. Or a mix. Yeah. That's about the only thing I could think of because you could definitely get a haul out of him, even as Matt said. So it might be worth it sometimes. Sometimes getting rid of your really good player, you might get a few decent players, or even you might get another really good player out of that with other good. It might be worked that way. I don't, to me, that's about all I got on that.
I get you. Listen, I think that would be a great idea. I don't know how we went from them possibly getting rid of I guess it does fit. We're talking about them getting rid of Siakam and OG, and that's maybe a good landing spot for OG would be Dallas, bringing Kyrie. I think that would be a great fit. All right, so what do we got next as we wind down our NBA news? The Rockets are likely to make a run at next forward Cam Johnson of free agency. Does anybody care about this? Cam Johnson's okay. He's not like does that even selling tickets? Does that move the needle for Houston?
No,
Joey?
but he's a complimentary piece.
But you're gonna have to overpay for him. He's looking at getting, they're saying over $20 million a year.
Yeah, but
is he worth $20 million? But is he worth $20 million a year? Is he worth $10 to $25 million a year? Look, he hasn't. This is the man's stats.
Yeah.
Right there. He hasn't even averaged
3-point shooter, so you're gonna get people interested.
But maybe they look at it. Maybe they look at it like, well, hey, if he has a chance to have like not, nobody kind of blocking him a little bit, he could actually be the guy. I don't like the idea. Would Cam be someone that you could see either, if not the Rockets, be a fit for the Clips, Tom?
Sure. I mean, I think it all depends. All depends who they keep. I don't know what the contract scenario is for the bench. As we said, if because we're stuck with the stars, I'd love to run it back because I think it's a really good squad. I don't know who you would move to make Cam fit. Maybe get rid of Morris. But I kind of like his vibe. I think he's good for the locker room. Even though he had a tough year with injuries and didn't shoot the ball that well. I don't know how long Batum's got left on his lifespan, his career lifespan. He had a terrible series. He's
getting old though. He's getting
old, but I mean, he made a difference in the regular season. He just disappeared in that Suns series. And I think if a few of those threes go down, then it's not a gentleman's sweep. It's definitely more interesting. I'm not putting it on Batum, but just some of those just some of those threes, whether it was Batum or Highland or whatever, it would have been a different series. But that's just. I guess I'm still getting over it. But no, Cam Johnson's useful. Those stats actually, I thought he was better than that. I thought he put.
To be honest with you, I thought he was, and still not more
shocked with those stats. But then he's at 40-something%. That means he's probably not taking as many shots. It's not a terrible shooting percentage, so
no, it's pretty good.
I wouldn't be mad if he came to the Clips. I don't know.
Is he worth over 20? Is he worth $20 million a year? Do you?
No. Well, we can't afford that.
Well, even I'm saying hypothetically, if you could, or if any team could, is he worth $20 million a year?
Not on those stats.
He's a guy. I would say.
Why does he have the kind of? Why do we all think he's better than he is? Other than Matt, who's clearly more in the know. Because I thought he was better than that. And I saw those stats. I was like, oh, maybe he's a bit shit.
He's a guy. I don't think he's had a chance really to really put together a major. In fact, he could pull it up one more time for us. I'm curious about the minutes real quick. How many minutes did he play? So he's not really playing starter minutes. So maybe if you give him that 35 to 40 minutes a game, is he now a guy that averaged you 20, 23 points a game? Could be. I mean, and if you look last year between mostly was he played with the Suns and the Nets, but so you figure if you average those out, it's 40%. The year before 42%. I mean, those are fantastic. That's fantastic numbers on 3-point range.
That's true.
And again, if he hits a little bit more, maybe the percentage comes down a little bit because he shoots more. But maybe as a starter, he might be a good guy that might get you like 22 points. But I still don't know if I'd want to. I feel like he's the type of guy you sign to that $22 million a year contract that in 2 years you're looking but in 2 years you're looking to move him because he's a burden on your cap.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely could go.
But the cap's going up though.
It's going to go up majorly, but we don't know where it's going to go yet. I don't think they really released where it's going to go. It's going to go up majorly over the next few years just because of the TV deals. But still, even with that, do you want to take a percentage of that cap and put it to a guy that is really kind of unproven as a starter? I know Jalen Brunson could say the same thing for. He became and he's done. He's exceeded expectations in New York. But I don't know if I see Cam Johnson as that same kind of player. Now, Michael Bridges, I do. Michael Bridges would be worth every penny of a contract like that. He's not a free agent though. I would like to see maybe the Nets even just try to keep Cam Johnson and see if you can get him a little bit of a hometown discount. Not that many players do that anymore, but we'll see. But on to the next one. Rumor: if Luka Doncic becomes available, Utah Jazz could be the favorites to land him based on all that Donovan Mitchell booty that they got from the Donovan Mitchell trade. Joey, could this be obviously?
Hold on. And there's another trade that they hit a home run on. His name starts with R and ends in Udi Gobert.
That's true. That is true. Rudy Gobert.
They got 4 first-round picks and Walker Kessler, and they got man, that was
Walker Kessler was a Rookie of the Year finalist. He had a great year, Walker Kessler, for them. So
anyway, sorry, go on. You're asking Joey.
What's the headline? Hey, what's the headline you just popped up? I completely missed it. I got a text. I was trying to answer it real quick.
Oh, there you go. If Luka Doncic becomes available, Utah Jazz can be favorites to land him. Obviously, Luka makes any team better, really, right? But is this doable? Jazz have the surplus to go get him.
I mean, the thing is, the Jazz have. I know they have a whole bunch of draft assets if they wanted to, but I don't know if they would. I mean, it depends how much. I guess it depends on what you want to give up for that. I mean, that's the only thing, Could they? Maybe.
I mean, where would you place him? Top what in the league, Dom? Luka. Top 5, top 10, top 15. Where do you put Luka?
Top 7.
I'd say so.
Yeah,
I'd say top 10, higher end of the top 10.
Luka. I don't see Luka leaving Mr. Cuban.
That's the thing. Is he going to ask for the trade?
I just don't. He's going to go.
He might. I think. Can I be honest? I think it all hinges on whatever they do with Kyrie. And if he does look to move, it won't be this offseason. It would be either at the deadline or next offseason. If they keep Kyrie, I can see him saying, you know what? This ain't for me, really. I want out. At that point, they're already locked into Kyrie for multiple years. So that's that. So Luka's going to know this is my team for the next 3-4 years, right? Because you're going to lock him in for at least 3 years. He's not going to sign a 1-year deal.
Right. One of them's got. What are you saying? One of them's got to go.
Yeah. So if it gets to the point where we start the season and they start off, maybe 5 games under 500, like a 12 seed just before the trading deadline, like come New Year. Could you see him saying, you know what, this is just not working for me. I want to move. I think it's something that happens at this. Again, I don't think it happens this offseason. I don't think there's a chance of moving him this offseason. I think it all has to do with what happens with Kyrie Irving. If Kyrie Irving stays, because there's a good chance. We talk about him going to other places. There's, I think I would say there's a better percentage chance of him staying with Dallas. I think a lot of people put it at almost like an 80% chance that he stays with Dallas because Dallas does want him. A lot of people think he's going to end up staying in Dallas because Dallas wants to keep him.
But isn't Luka Cuban's
boy?
He's like all in on Luka, right?
But it sounds like he's all in on Kyrie too, which I don't get. But that's what a lot of the rumors you hear coming out of Dallas is that Dallas wants to make sure that he stays there. And for anything else, it might just be to not make it look like they made a bad trade for him in the first place. Maybe it looks like, all right, well, if we keep him, then that trade was worth it. If we don't, then it looks like we gave up everything not everything, but we gave up more than we should have for a non-playoff team. Like they didn't even make the playoffs this year, and they gave up a ton to bring in Kyrie. That looks bad on the GM and it leaves in that organization.
But don't you think it's worse if you
double down?
If you lose Luka, that's really bad.
I think their goal is to then try to make Luka want to stay. It's whether or not he will.
Right.
It's whether or not he will. I think that, they don't. I wouldn't say you want to lose Luka. I think they're going to give you all the lip service they can. They're going to try to put together as many pieces as they can and hope that they win and change Luka's mind. But if they don't, I think he's going to look to want to be moved by either the trading deadline or the next offseason. Again, I think it all has. What?
It'd be insane to trade Luka.
It would be, but what if he's like, I don't want to be here with Kyrie, and Kyrie's here another 3 years? Yeah. What do you do?
And the Mavericks are idiots. They shift Kyrie.
You'd be a Mormon poster boy in Utah. Holy cow!
They'd love him there. Second coming to John Stockton. Second coming to John. They love their white ball players in Utah.
Yeah.
They've been known to have
do it, but it's you're not going to hit on all those picks, and the hope is one of those picks could maybe be as good as Luka. Like Luka's really good.
But let's face it, a lot of these picks get moved not to make the pick. It's so you can move them in another deal for somebody else. Yeah. So a lot of times, like these picks get moved, and it's not like, okay, well now I have 5 first-round picks for the next 3 years. People look at it like I have these picks now. All right, I moved my guy for those picks. Now I can move these picks for this guy. So I think that's really where it comes down. Really,
I think Luka's one of those guys that super teams are being built all over the place. But Luka's one of those guys. If you get a couple of good, like above good role players, not superstars, just like at that level, I don't think he needs another superstar.
No, which is why we were saying before about
that good. He just takes over games.
Which is why before we were talking about the trade, if it was the potential trade of him to Toronto with OG being part of it, that would actually be a really good trade. Okay, OG is not Kyrie Irving, I get it. But for the fit, that fit would be so much better for Dallas going forward. Plus, they get some picks too, I'm sure, out of it. and maybe use those picks to get somebody else, or maybe they hit on a rookie or something. I think that would be again when you mentioned it before. We
fixed the NBA.
We fixed a lot of the problems that the NBA is having. We fixed
There it is.
But you know what? Having said that, let's move on to some NFL news. Dominic, just play along. Giants extend Dexter Lawrence to a contract extension. Is he worth it? He's going to get 4 years, $90 million, 60 of which guaranteed. Tied for the third highest defensive lineman in the league. Coming off an all-pro year for a former first-rounder out of Clemson, 17th overall, 2019. Matt, you're a division rival. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome last year. He's a beast.
Is he worth that money?
Yeah, he is, because the cap's going up, and you got to pay these guys. And Aaron Donald's. Everyone sets a new mark, like a couple years ago. But Aaron Donald got paid, and rightfully so, because he's a beast as well. He's probably the scariest person on the planet. But Lawrence is awesome, and they had to re-sign him because they're trying to move in a certain direction, and he's a huge part of that. So that was a good move, I think.
Joey?
Yeah, it's a lot of, I know the players now, it's all about the guaranteed money and such, and it is a lot of money, but yeah, you're talking about a great player. Defensive tackles, especially the good ones, are hard to get. Hold on to him when you get him. He's part of the plan. The Giants are obviously moving in the right direction. Hard to say that, but they are. And it's a good signing. You want to keep those type of players. You got to keep your core guys around, especially your D tackles and, your edge rushers and some of these other guys, but that is a core pillar of your defense. So especially D-line. He's a good signing. The guy was really good last year.
All pro. And here's the thing too is he could have tried to hold. I'm surprised. I think he was going to get more. I thought he would try to sneak into that number 2 spot. I forgot who he got to see tied up at number 3 with. Might have been was it Cameron Payne out of Washington? Maybe they got the same contract. I believe. I forget.
Chase.
No, Cameron Payne, the defensive tackle. Yeah, Chase is his option. We'll talk about the options a little bit. His option to get picked up. But yeah. So I'll tell you what. And Matt hit it on the head. You sign these guys to what seems like a little bit of more money than you'd want to give up now, because in about 3 years, it's going to seem like a lot less than it could have been if you do it now. They're going to want, once they see how much money is under that cap, is how they dictate how much they should get. So right now is the time to sign to that deal. I think that's the reason why they put more emphasis on that than Saquon. Everyone's still wondering where Saquon's money is. This was more of an important signing for the Giants. Get this guy under a contract for a little bit cheaper than you would have to pay him if you wait a year or two. That's my thought on it. Dom, good signing.
He's tweeting.
Sure,
He's
great.
tweeting the Raptors trade.
He's talking right now. He's talking to anyone that will listen on over at Dallas. Hey,
yeah,
OG.
I've got it.
Mark Cuban on speed dial. Mark Cuban on speed dial.
To Mark. Me and Mark are chatting about it. We're gonna figure it out.
They're what do they call them? The shark guys. What's the show? Shark
Tank.
Shark Tank guys. There you go. Shark Tank brothers. All right, Jet signing Randall Cobb. Does anybody even care about this? I'm a Jet fan, and I'm like, I feel like this only just creates more blockage for other receivers. I'd rather have other guys to take the spot. He had one touchdown this year, 30-something catches, and I know he missed like 4 games, but I don't say, oh, well, he only missed 4 games. I look like, okay, he's old, so he missed 4 games. This is a ho-hum. Look, pull that back up real quick, Patty. Look at 13, 12, 10, 15, 9, 15, 13, 16. All right, so it hasn't been since 2015 he played a full season. He's only that much older. This is obviously a security blanket for Rodgers. And I don't even think it's really been released how much money he got. I'm sure it was really minimal. But it's still even worth this deal, Joey?
I feel like you even put this in here just because it's a Jets signing. So, or at least that's
pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, he was notable at one point. He was a notable receiver at one point.
Yeah, so probably 5 years ago.
And I think you're right. It's a security blanket for Rodgers. I'm sure it wasn't a whole lot of money. Is he going to contribute a lot? No, probably not. Could he be a good locker room guy and train some of the young guys? Yeah. That would probably be. You always got to have some of these veterans in the locker room to kind of mold and shape and show how to be a pro and how to train and how to practice and stuff like that. Now, I don't know fully. I'm not a Packer fan. I can't stand them, but I don't know their full the makeup of that team, and I don't know his kind of work ethic and is he that type of player? But if he is,
it seems like everywhere he's gone, he's been a leader.
Yeah, then there you go. That's probably what the signing is for. And it's just to help Rodgers a little, but really it's probably to groom these guys as they the Jets have a lot of young receivers. So
I'll tell you what, I would be okay with it if that was the case, but then you should have kept Elijah Moore, who needed someone to kind of tutor him and mentor him a little bit. Elijah Moore is where you needed someone to sit down and say, listen, this is how we act as pros in a wide receiver room. And I think he would have paid more dividends if you still would have had Elijah Moore. Garrett Wilson seems to be like a good kid. I don't know if he needs the same kind of mentorship that Elijah Moore would have needed. If Elijah Moore still would have been here, I think I would have been more okay with the signing at that point. At this point, I look at it like, well, I'd rather them just drafted a guy or bring in another guy, like go out and get an OBJ, that maybe won a couple extra bucks. Maybe you could have figured it out. But Randall Cobb, maybe. I don't know, Matt. What you say on Randall Cobb? Should we just move to the next one?
They're throwing Rodgers a bone. Rodgers likes him.
We already threw him a bone. We already threw him a bone.
Well, I'm not sure if this is news to you. He's a bit of a diva.
He is.
So this is on his list of.
You remember that, right? That's my quarterback.
Yes, of course I remember it. The most phony bullshit fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Rodgers wanted him, so they got him probably for not a lot of money. And if there's injuries, he can slot up the lineup, and he can still be effective. He's just not what you want for a 1 or 2.
No, he's like 4 or 5 maybe at this point. Again, let him be a part-time coach in that locker room, and that's all I want for. But if that's the case, then I feel like we could have kept more talent that we got rid of earlier this year to let him mentor that young talent. And instead we didn't. So that's my problem with that one. Eagles signing their first-round pick. He's the first-round pick to sign. Jalen Carter agrees to his deal with the Eagles. First off, how big of a move, the Eagles just even getting better. They went into the postseason last year, or into the season last year, of not being the team that we thought would be there at the end. It probably was more on the 49ers that they were able to get to the Super Bowl, being with the injuries that the 49ers sustained, than it was the Eagles really taking that championship. But the Eagles, did they not just get just a shit ton better this offseason, Matt?
Yeah, they did. And
scary good on defense.
A lot of people thought that Carter should have gone first.
Yeah.
And so, it sucks. They're going to be really good again. They're terrifying.
They're going to be better again. I thought they had some weaknesses last year, especially on that defensive line, or on defense in general. I thought they had some spots. They just made themselves stronger. That defensive line is going to be now. It's going to be can you imagine over the next 6 years, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter as the interior linemen?
I can't imagine it.
How are you going to run against these guys?
I am imagining it right now. It sucks.
How are you going to run against these guys? And listen, everyone said, "Oh wow, they lost." Right? They lose Hargrave, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, they lost the defensive tackle Hargrave. Oh, what are they going to do? What are they going to do?" They replaced him with a guy that's probably only about a year away from being better than Hargrave, and at such a reduced rate. 4 years, $21.8 million, which is only $400K more than last year's number 9 pick, Cross got. Hargrave is all pro. I get it. He's fantastic. Jalen Carter has the potential after year 1 to be probably better than Hargrave, I think, right? And you got him that much younger, and you got him that much cheaper. This is as far as if you talk about the trade-off of Hargrave to Jalen Carter, this is a win. Now, I know, Joey, you got Hargrave. I know you're happy with him, but this is still proof positive for the Eagles, though, no?
Of course it's positive. They got to find a replacement for Hargrave, and this is going to be it. But I've mentioned this many times. The worst word in the NFL is potential, because everybody has potential coming in. So you're going based off what you think he's going to do, or that he's a year away from being as good as Hargrave, as you say, and all that stuff. You got to show me that first. And I'm not saying me personally. I'm just saying you got to show that first before you decide that. They drafted him where they did. He looks like he's going to be really good, obviously. So obviously they were going to sign him anyway. But yeah, they needed a replacement for Hargrave because they started losing a couple pieces. Because, when you get to Super Bowls, or you win Super Bowls, or you're even close to that stuff, you lose coaches, you lose players. It's just kind of the way it is, especially as the free agents come. They want to capitalize on the money. It's a good signing. And yeah, like Matt said, listen, I'm a Niner fan. I hate the freaking Eagles. Fuck them. But they're going to be good. And I know they're going to be a thorn in our side for a while, man. It's just the way it is. So yeah, good signing. He's going to be really good. So the question is going to be, especially rookie season, does he have a good rookie season? Does he stay healthy? All that good stuff. So I guess we'll see as OTAs and training camp and all that stuff come around. So that's what you did. You're looking for a replacement for Hargrave, at least for this specific draft pick.
Well, you heard Deebo Samuel said that he hates the Eagles right now.
Oh yeah,
that's the team he hates more than any.
I'm right there fucking with him.
Listen, that's going to be a tough team to beat the 49ers. But I think the Eagles just got even better this year. Now, again, I think they were able to beat the 49ers last year in the playoffs because of injuries. But the Eagles they may have leapfrogged them a little bit this year, no?
I got to see a healthy team. I want to have a goddamn quarterback when we play him. It would be nice to see that. We must see a much better game. I can tell you that, at least. Leapfrog, I got to see what the hell we're doing at quarterback. They just can't seem to figure it out. I got to see what we got in Trey. It's just, I got to see what we have in Trey. I know they keep saying that they think Darnold's going to start. F all that. I don't see that really happening, but I guess we'll see.
We'll see. Listen, that's the biggest thing is the question mark that they have is the biggest question mark to have.
Of course.
Right? They've shown they've been able to play with or without the quarterback. Is Purdy that good on another team, or is it in a system? At that point, who knows? And if that's the case, then Darnold might be a good guy to have over there.
Maybe.
So
anyway. They might have to. Listen.
Yeah.
They might not have anybody healthy. Maybe Trey doesn't do too well. Maybe Purdy's elbow's not ready yet, and Darnold has to play for now. He might end up, you never know.
And he might take the starting job away. Speaking of quarterbacks, Vikings not ruling out another Kirk Cousins extension. Smart move to extend the Cardinals, Matt? I mean, to next Cousins?
What's that, sorry?
It's a smart move to extend Cousins if you're the Vikings?
Yeah. I mean, you need
a win-now team. It's a win-now team.
He's a good – are you really going to win with Cousins? He's pretty good.
He's pretty good, and he's not great. But this is, I mean, if you look at the roster built around him, it's a win-now team.
Yeah, and the options, the other options are not even close. So
right.
Yeah, it's good. He's good. Like I said, he's pretty good.
What do you give him?
That middle. He's at middle of the league, 10 to 15, best quarterback in there.
I say he's top. I say he's top half. I would say he's top half.
Yeah.
Joey, what do you give him for an extension? How many on what?
I mean, listen, first of all,
this
dude is the king of extensions and contracts.
He's made as much as anybody.
It's insane how much money this guy has made. I mean, good on him for getting it. And it's crazy because sometimes he's in the top half.
Yeah.
And he's a good front runner, especially during the regular season. He does great. It's just he's got to win the big games, and it comes down to that type. He always puts up good numbers. It's just, when it comes down to these playoff games where you got to have wins or if it's in a tight spot, a lot of people don't trust him. But as far as giving it to him, I don't know. Man. Give him, God, I don't know. He's made so much money. I would have probably said, hey, man, you might want to start giving us some money back over the money they gave.
You know what it is? The shorter term deals you sign, the more money they're usually worth when you're in your prime. So he was doing a lot of those. He was taking the franchise tag monies because that money it's a lot. If you just
I think they'll sign him. I think they'll sign him. They feel it's safe and they know him. And like Matt said, what else is out? Especially at this point, if you haven't drafted anything, all the free agency stuff is big. Unless you're going to somehow work some blockbuster trade, which you're not going to do right now. Almost like everybody's used a lot of their picks. You're kind of going to have to, I think, at that point. He's their best option, and you're going to win games with him. There's no question.
Yeah.
It's just, it's when you get to the nitty gritty, the playoff games and things like that, that's where things kind of go off the rails. So.
Agreed. All right, so now let's talk a little before we get out of here. We'll do a little quick extension, fifth year options. Who got picked up, who didn't? Who did anybody stick out to anyone else who didn't get picked up, or I suppose who did get picked up? Matt, anyone that stuck out in your mind?
No, not really.
Are you looking at the list right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
I got it.
Does Patty have it?
Does Patty have it? He might have it. Listen, first of all, Chase Young.
Yeah, there's no link on.
That's a surprise for me. Chase Young is a surprise.
Yeah, but
I know he's been hurt.
He can't stay healthy, which is also why going to my next player, Javon Kinlaw, they're not going to take his fifth-year option because, again, he's played like 12 games in the last 2-3 years. That's terrible. At some point, you need to move on. Especially in the NFL, at some point, you got to move on. You got to cut your losses. If all of a sudden the guy but if all of a sudden the guy starts playing for whatever team he signs with and does stay healthy, well, so be it. But the odds are it's not going to happen, which is why they continue to get hurt and can't stay on the field. Yeah. They're a waste of time. You're taking roster spots and you're costing the cap. So it's like, and I'm sorry, I have serious issues with Kinlaw, but Kinlaw stood out a little bit just because he was such a highly lauded draft pick. But really, Chase Young, man, I'd like to get him. And again, this is another player who I know cannot stay healthy, but I would still, if you can get the right price or something, when he's done at the end of the season, and obviously you got to watch to see how he does this season, he might be someone to take a chance on. But that's the one that really, I think, stood out to me the most as far as ones that didn't get picked up. So I mean, I
What
knew
about-
Brandon Ayuk was going to get picked up. That was stupid. In fact, it scares me to say this, but this might be the last season we see both Debo and Ayuk on the same team.
I think there's a good reason to think that. I'd be scared to lose Ayuk.
Yeah,
Here we
it
go,
bothers
Patty.
me.
Tua got picked up. Is anyone surprised that they were willing to pick up Tua's with his injury history?
Yeah,
No,
you got to wait and see what happens with his head, man.
Yeah, the upside is better than the downside. If he comes back next year and is a Pro Bowler, I mean, Pro Bowler doesn't actually really mean that much anymore. But if
The million make it now.
he has a
Pro.
great, if he has a great year next year, and you didn't pick it up, and you have to sign him to a big ticket, that's going to hurt you. So this just gives you a reasonable salary moving forward. That's kind of a safety net if things work out.
Yep, I agree.
Agreed.
That's you, Dean.
The one that sticks out to me mostly is gonna be Chase Young. I thought, again, I know the injury history, but I also see when he is healthy how dominant he can be in ruck a game.
Absolutely.
To me, you don't just find pass rushers like that. So I feel like I would have just, it's 1 year. I feel like I would have just took the 1 year on it. It's 1 year, and then you can worry about the signs unless they already have plans of doing a long-term deal. But I can't see that being the case because of the fact that you would have just picked it up and just ripped that up after the fact. But you don't find pass rushers like that just anywhere. You have one in your backyard. Lock him up for 1 extra year, and then work on that long-term deal. And you have another year to see if he's going to stay healthy and see if it's worth it. Again, is this just the Commanders doing what the Commanders do? I really kind of feel like it is.
Maybe they see. Listen, remember, the team see stuff we don't see. Maybe they know something we don't know. That's the only thing. And yes, could it be a Commanders thing? Maybe, but they see stuff we don't see, Gene. So I'm thinking they're not confident that he's going to stay healthy.
Yeah, but they still get these wrong sometimes. No,
of course they do. That's the Dolphins. How many times they passed over on Drew Brees? Once in the draft against them when they could have got him from San Diego at the time. They did it wrong.
I mean, listen, there's a lot here too that I look at, like, all right, well, Jordan Love got extended, so he's different, right? Obviously, Rager got declined, which makes sense. Justin Jefferson got exercised. CeeDee Lamb exercised. You know what? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I guess if I'm him, I probably blame the kid they got out of Rutgers last year. Is the reason why I wasn't exercised for another year. Because I thought he when healthy, he played decent. Yeah. Patrick Queen, same thing. They brought in the trade. They bring in Roquan Smith. That makes Patrick Queen maybe not as valuable to them. That might have been what caused that. But I think my biggest shocker would be Chase Young.
Yep.
And if I'm surprised about someone that got picked up already, I don't know. I feel like they're all pretty spot on. Like I'm not surprised the Giants didn't pick up my guy Becton. The only part that I would have liked to just pick it up is because what if he goes out and has a great year this year? Are you stuck now paying extra to keep him?
Yeah.
That would be the only reason why I would have wanted to keep him. Obviously, the Raiders lost Henry Ruggs. He's never going to be playing again. Andrew Thomas might be. I was a little surprised. Andrew Thomas, I get it, all pro, but is he what he is, or did he just have a great year? Because he hadn't done anything until this year. So I'm kind of in that spot where I'm not really sure what Andrew Thomas is. But Chase Young is the one that sticks out most to me.
Yeah. I mean, the rest were pretty common. I mean, obviously they re-signed, like you said, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. Picking up these options.
All these are no-brainers.
That's what I'm saying. Most of these are pretty much no-brainers. I mean, obviously Jordan Love with Aaron leaving. Mm-hmm. Trying to see if there's anything else really that sticks out. But
did the Falcons pick up Jeff Okudah?
I mean, come on, of course they're gonna.
Yeah. The Falcons. I don't have a thing that says, Pat, if you could put yours up, I don't know if it says it. Did the Falcons pick up Jeff Okudah's? Because he got traded to the Falcons this offseason.
Yeah.
You still have it? He did get picked up.
No, I don't know. Let's see.
Who had the one that came up before? Was that Patty or Joey? Who pulled up the thing that he had before? There we go. Oh, he's not eligible because it was post-line trade. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So I don't think there's anything in there that makes me think, oh, well, that should have been. There's nothing in there that's glaring other than Chase Young to me.
Right. Yeah. That's why I said Chase Young stood out. I mean, he's a really good player. For such a young career, I know he's had some really, and he was outstanding when he stayed healthy. It's just once he got hurt, he hasn't been able to. So we'll see. I mean, look, Bosa had an amazing season. He got hurt. He was out for an entire year, came back, and he's been fine. So he has he had major injury history coming out of college. So you just don't know. I mean, look, Frank Gore coming out of both knees completely reconstructed, never had a knee injury.
Played for about 35 years.
And never had a knee injury as a running back in the NFL. It just, you don't know. It's weird.
So, but all right, guys, that's gonna do it for today, man. On a Getaway Friday, a special Cinco de Mayo. So yeah, I guess let's go around the last words, man. Matt, what's your last words for the week?
Same. It's go Leafs.
Go Leafs. Go Leafs.
Go Leafs. Go. We need this. We need this Sunday, please, God.
Austin Matthews, can you finally get off your ass and do something, Austin Matthews? Right?
I need anyone. Do something. Anyone. Everyone. Come on.
Who's the guy from the Islanders that you guys have now? Who's the guy from the Islanders that you guys signed away from the Islanders that everyone was so upset about? Tavares. Maybe Tavares could do something. He sucks.
Yeah.
Dude. So
come on, Johnny.
There we go. Joey, last words of the week.
I don't have any.
That's
last words of the week. Listen, I'll tell you what. I'm pulling for the Panthers. I'm pulling for the Heat. I know I can't help it. I'm pulling for the Celtics. That's it.
There you go.
Someone wake Dom up. He's been asleep for 30 minutes.
Dom's
sorry, Dom. I'm sorry, bud.
Not the NBA. NBA is his thing. Dom, last words of the week.
It's not just the NBA. It's just the NFL is so dull. Do we not?
It's not dull.
It's so dull. Do we ever talk about baseball on this show?
We will
absolutely.
Once baseball becomes like, where
we talk baseball.
We'll talk a little bit of baseball soon.
Why not now? I mean, come on. Season, things are going. The Rays look unstoppable. There's so much to talk about.
We'll talk about that soon. We gotta we're just trying to get through.
NFL bollocks. It's just like real sports.
I think by next week we'll be having a little bit more baseball because football will start to settle down by next week.
Listen, we just had the draft. We got to talk about it a little bit.
And nobody cares about your Dodgers. Is really what comes down.
Oh, here we go.
I didn't even, I was going to talk about the Rays. And
the Rays are. It's scary what the Rays do every single year.
We don't need to talk baseball. I don't want to bring up the Blue Jays. I can't do it.
Blue Jays. Listen, I told you
that division is really. I mean,
and you got one of the best young ball players in the league with Vladdy, man.
With the same record as the.
Our pitching staff, the last 4 games against Boston, got completely like the previous 2 weeks. Our starters were dialed, and it's like, okay, here we go, and they all got torched this week.
So. Listen, you guys have.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, Patty.
So that was purely for Matt's eyes because he doesn't. Again, we haven't stressed baseball yet, so had no reason for him to go grab that. So Pat did that purely on his own. Shots fired at Matt. That's for being like 13-0 against him on getting stats when we need him. That's
yeah. I mean, that was Gausman pitching. His previous game, Gausman went 7 innings, no runs, 13 Ks.
He's looked good at times, Gausman.
He was great. He was awesome last year. And he's been really good this year. And then I turned on the game yesterday before, like I'm going to watch both games. It's like, oh, it's 6-0 Boston in the top of the second or bottom of the second. Sick. Wicked. Again, we're getting smoked. Fuck.
Cheating. Cheating.
The Sox is.
I'm down 10-0. I'm down $10 to Matt on the Yankee Blue Jays season thing. So hopefully next time around we can get a couple of wins and get me up on the positive level. But right now I'm down $10 to Matt. So let's go Yankees. Although I think the Yankees are an absolute train wreck and just waiting to be like, they're always hurt. They're always hurt. I don't even want to start with the Yankees. Maybe we'll talk baseball soon so I can actually get my aggression out on the Yankees.
Now I know why you don't want to talk baseball.
Bam.
Right, dude. I'm telling you right now, it's so frustrating. I think
clearly there's enough to talk about.
Oh,
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, there's enough to talk about. No question.
We'll get back into some baseball by next week. We will.
All right.
Again, football will die down by next week. We'll get into some baseball.
I'm okay with taking a nap.
All right, well, Dom, so last words is NBA for you?
No, my last words, everyone have a good weekend. Get outside if you can. Be good to people. Be kind. And
love each other.
Don't be too hard on yourself. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, love yourselves and love everyone else.
Yeah.
Guys, my last words are go enjoy the weekend. Go enjoy Cinco de Mayo. Revenge of the Sith is today, or is that the 6th?
Revenge of the 5th. Yeah.
Revenge of the 5th, whatever the hell it is. But yeah, go enjoy Cinco. It should be Revenge of the 6th, right?
Well, 5th,
because you get the revenge of all that drinking you do on the 5th, and it's the Star Wars theme. So
the two revenges, the 5th and the 6.
Go get yourselves a taco, guys. Enjoy Cinco de Mayo, and have a great today, a better weekend, and we will see you on Monday.
That's the pop off for today, folks. Thank you to all of our listeners, as well as our producers, Patty Puddles and Fareed Kameo. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to hear what these hooligans will pop off about next.